creating an empty Pandas DataFrame, and then filling it. I'm starting from the Pandas DataFrame documentation here, Introduction to Data Structures. I'd like to iteratively fill the data frame with values in a time series kind of calculation. So basically, I'd like to initialize the data frame with columns A, B and timestamp rows, all 0 or all none. I'd then add initial values and go over this data calculating the new row from the row before, say row at t, equals row at t1 plus 1 or so. I'm currently using the code as below, but I feel it's kind of ugly and there must be a way to do this with a data frame directly, or just a better way in general. Note, I'm using Python 2.7.
Here's a couple of suggestions. Use date_range for the index. Note, we could create an empty data frame, with nans, simply by writing to do these type of calculations for the data, use a NumPy array. Hence we can create the data frame.
Never grow a data frame row-wise. TLDR. Just read the bold text. Most answers here will tell you how to create an empty data frame and fill it out, but no one will tell you that it is a bad thing to do. Here is my advice. Accumulate data in a list, not a data frame. Use a list to collect your data, then initialize a data frame when you are ready. Either a list of lists or list of dix format will work. pd.dataframe accepts both. pd.dataframe converts the list of rows, where each row is a scalar value, into a data frame. If your function yields data frames instead, call pd.concat. Pros of this approach. It is always cheaper to append to a list and create a data frame in one go than it is to create an empty data frame, or one of nans, and append to it over and over again. Lists also take up less memory and are a much lighter data structure to work with, append, and remove, if needed. D-types are automatically inferred, rather than assigning object to all of them. A range index is automatically created for your data, instead of you having to take care to assign the correct index to the row you are appending at each iteration. If you aren't convinced yet, this is also mentioned in the documentation. Iteratively appending rows to a data frame can be more computationally intensive than a single concatenate. A better solution is to append those rows to a list and then concatenate the list with the original data frame all at once. Update for pandas is greater than or equal to 1.4. Append is now deprecated. As of pandas 1.4, append has now been deprecated. Use pd.concat instead. See the release notes. These options are horrible. Append or concat inside a loop. Here's the biggest mistake I've seen from beginners. Memory is reallocated for every append or concat operation you have. Couple this with a loop and you have a quadratic complexity operation. The other mistake associated with df.append is that users tend to forget append is not an in-place function, so the result must be assigned back. You also have to worry about the D types. Dealing with object columns is never a good thing, because pandas cannot vectorize operations on those columns. You will need to do this to fix it. Lock inside a loop. I have also seen lock used to append to a data frame that was created empty. As before, you have not pre-allocated the amount of memory you need each time, so the memory is regrown each time you create a new row. It's just as bad as append, and even more ugly. Empty data frame of nans. And then, there's creating a data frame of nans, and all the caveats associated therewith. It creates a data frame of object columns, like the others. Appending still has all the issues as the methods above. The proof is in the pudding. Timing these methods is the fastest way to see just how much they differ in terms of their memory utility. Benchmarking code for reference.
If you simply want to create an empty data frame and fill it with some incoming data frames later, try this. In this example, I am using this pandas doc to create a new data frame and then using append to write to the nude with data from old. If I have to keep appending new data into this nude from more than one old, I just use a for loop to iterate over pandas.dataframe.append. Note, append is deprecated since version 1.4.0. Use concat.
Initialize empty frame with column names. Add a new record to a frame. You also might want to pass a dictionary. Append another frame to your existing frame. Performance considerations. If you are adding rows inside a loop, consider performance issues. For around the first 1000 records, my _df.lock performance is better, but it gradually becomes slower by increasing the number of records in the loop. If you plan to do things inside a big loop, say 10m records or so, you are better off using a mixture of these two. Fill a data frame with illoc until the size gets around 1000, then append it to the original data frame, and empty the temp data frame. This would boost your performance by around 10 times.